I'm going to go ahead and get started. First off, I want to thank all y'all that have joined. This is the first time I'm doing this. I know that I will get better at it as I go through it and get more at bats with it. I am going to record it, like I said, and all the documents that I'm going to use, I will give to you so that you can so that you also will have access to it. I can tailor them specifically to you as well. It's really good stuff. So what I'm going to do is, because the other thing about these calls, I know that y'all are all very busy and people are after you to sit in front of them. And I'm going to do my best my goal is to be done by 11:30. I don't want to go longer than 30 minutes because y'all are all very, very busy. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the call today is going to be about seller-paid buydowns. I know that everybody's heard of them. I've done a lot of asking, and some people kind of know what they are or kind of don't know what they are, but I'm going to go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so do you see that screen?
No.
See it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the difference between I want to make sure that you understand the difference between a seller paid buy down and buying down the interest rate on a permanent level. When you're buying down the interest rate, as an example, for me to get to 6.875 today with a credit score of like 660 would be like 3 points. And on that, so 15 grand on a $500,000 loan. That rate is that way forever. And it's so one way of doing it. That's 15 grand. The second way of doing it is you can do a buy down. So this goes into place when you have a listing that you can do this out of the gate, or you can do it once you've got a little bit of time. The listing's kind of sitting a little bit. So there are 4 or 5 different types of buy downs. There's a 1-0 buy down, and what that means is the interest rate is bought down for 1 year. There is a 1-1 buy down, which means the interest rate you can see here that is bought down to the same rate for the first 2 years or 24 months. Mike, can you see that? Or are you going to make it bigger?
I can see it fine.
Okay. The third type is a 2-1 buy down. And by the way, this is the most popular of all of these. So the first year, the rate would be 5.25. And the second year, the rate would be 6.25. And the third year, the rate would be 7.25, which is the permanent rate. The third type is a 3-2-1 buy down. And so like it says, you're going to go down 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. So the more time you go, the more it costs. So you can see here, like on a 1-0 buy down, if you and this is good for a smaller priced house. You just, you got a buyer that first time home buyer that is struggling to, in their mind, wrap their hands around that payment. Well, this will save them $346 a month for the first year. That's only 1 year. The 1-1 will do the same thing, but it'll do it for 2 years. On a 2-1, it'll save them $676 the first year and $346 a month the second year. Now, for someone that's struggling, that okay, you know what? I know that I'm going to be making more money in the future. Is there a way I can slowly, get into this payment and get comfortable with it? This is great for those type of borrowers. You're going to open up your buying pool to a lot more borrowers that do it, that are willing to, I can afford that now, knowing that I'm going to, probably make more money in the future. My kid's going to be out of college in the next year or two, or, however you want to look at it. The 3-2-1, and these are generally done more on the probably bigger, more expensive homes. But either way, you can do it however you want. You can see where this is going to save them almost $1,000 a month the first year, $676 the second year, and $346 a month the third year. Now, one of the most important things to realize about all of this is what's called a temporary buy down, and the way it works is this. Do all you understand how when you have your real estate tax and your homeowner's insurance escrow put into an escrow account? So that's what happens with this money. So what'll happen is like for let's take this 3-2-1. So let's say that the seller says, okay, we're going to pay for a 3-2-1. The bank is going to put $24,128 into an escrow account. We can't pull the money out until we earn it. It's called earned interest. So every month we're going to be pulling out this $989 a month out of this account for the first year, $676 the second year, and $346 the third year. Well, let's assume that you get to month 18, and so you're about halfway through, you're more than halfway through the money. But let's say you got 10 grand left and rates drop to 4 to 5% for whatever reason, or let's say 6%. You say, you know what, I want to go ahead and refinance. You don't lose that money because that money is in that escrow account. That money is refunded to the borrower. So basically $10,000 they're going to be able to use to cover the cost of that refinance. So it's kind of a win-win for them. They can keep the buy down and run it till its end, or if they want to refinance, they can go ahead and do that as well. The other thing too is if they ended up, let's say that, and this has happened from time to time, they buy a house, they do a 2-1 buy down, and in a year they get promoted and they got to move to Michigan. They're going to get whatever's left in that account back, which makes a pretty big difference. So this is a document that it's a lot of information for one person to, as professionals. It's you may have seen something similar to this, but what I've done is I've gone and I've created a calculator. So if you want this, I can send this to you. You can mess with it. This one over here though is a little bit better. So I did this one as a 2-1 buy down. So this is for, and I just went and grabbed a house out in Tampa. So 3218 Barcelona Street. Now you'll notice you can put this in the MLS or whatever you want to do with it. I can co-brand it with you, which makes it awesome. So the way that these things are really sold though is, okay, you know what, Rich, why wouldn't I just buy that rate down? Well, so or take so in this case, it was a $900,000 house, and they could either leave the house at $900,000 or they could lower the price to $883. And you said, why is that that's kind of an odd number to lower it to? It's to cover the cost of the buy down. So it's just to show you the savings difference. So if we just take the loan at $883 and take 20% of that, they're going to save $90 a month. If they do the 2-1 buy down, the first year, they're going to save $925 a month. So in order to break even, so to speak, by taking this number, this 883 versus the 900,000, they're going to have to make that payment for 15.46 years. That's a long time. Most people are not going to be in a home for 15 to 16 years, much less in a mortgage for that long. So this to me is a much better way to do it, and they're going to save a bunch of money. And the same thing goes into effect if they decide that they want to refinance. They're going to get whatever's left in the pot, or if they end up moving, then they're going to get whatever's left in the escrow account as well. Does that seem something like when you're talking to and why would a seller want to do this? Well, I mean, obviously, depending on the neighborhood you're in, there may be a lot of homes on a street that are for sale. And if all of them are basically the same and people are playing the let's lower the house game, well, this is going to lower the price. It's not going to lower the price, but it's going to lower their payment by $1,000, almost $925 the first year. And that for depending on who the buyer is, most people would love that. And especially a lot of buyers aren't aware of this either. So it's a great way for you to introduce this to your sellers as another way that, hey, as a strategy, you're bringing them a strategy that most of the other real estate agents are not having this conversation with their sellers. They're just like, you know what, let's just lower the price. I had a house in St. Pete that I sent this for. The house was $895. They lowered it to $795, and I talked her into lowering it to like $740 with a 3-2-1 buy down, and they sold it in 3 weeks because this guy was able to get his first year rate in the 4s. So it's just a different way of doing it. So that's a 2-1, and then I've got another one here that is a 3-2-1. So this one I did on FHA. You can do these on FHAs, VAs, and conventional. Some of the jumbos will let you do it as well. So this one is, you can see where the interest rate is 6.625. It's 3.5% down on FHA. The original purchase price is $450,000. or we can reduce the sales price to $430. They're going to save $121 a month by just having that look, by buying it for less, but that's going to take them almost 14 years to break even. And when you tell an FHA type borrower that they're going to save $800 a month for the first month, for the first year, and $547 for the second, and $150 for the first 3, when all of us on this call are pretty confident that they're probably going to refinance before the end of this. I think most people will that are in the high 6s or low 7s in the next 3 years will have the opportunity to refinance. Rates will, they eventually will come back down. I don't know if they're going to get below it, in the low to mid 5s, but they will come back down. And this also, not only will it do that, but they'll get the equity back that they would lose in a refinance, because they've got it here where they can cover the cost. So that's a 3-2-1. The 1-1 and the 1-0, or if you've got a buyer that doesn't have a lot of room to wiggle, and you can do a 1-0 buy down for $5,000-$6,000, or you can do a 1-1 for about double that, depending on the purchase price. I think that are all really good avenues and ways to go out and show your sellers a different way of doing it. The other thing that you can do is, when you're out with a buyer, as a buyer's agent, you can make this when you're negotiating, you can say, you know what, I'm going to give you full price, but I want you to cover a buy down for me, rather than covering closing costs, or however they want to do it. And this is going to offer them all that savings. The difference between this covering this and covering the closing cost is spent money. You're never going to get that back. This is money that you'll get if you end up refinancing or selling. You're going to get whatever unused portion of it back. To me, it's a little bit better of a deal. And I can run numbers specifically to your. You got to know what the interest rate is. I could send you the Excel sheets, but you got to know what the interest rates are going for that day to make sure that you understand, to make sure you're getting it right. But once again, you can do these on FHAs, VAs, and conforming. Some of the jumbo will allow it as well. So,
Rich, what are rates right now?
A rate right now on the jumbo I did, the conforming was at 7%, and the FHA was at 6 5/8. FHA is a little better right now for those mid-level conventional buyers that aren't putting 20% down. It's probably a better deal for them to go FHA right now than going, especially the ones with really strong credit. It's a better deal for them to go with FHA than going conforming right now. The government is in the process of reviewing the rules for FHA. FHA, does everybody know about the FHA 1.75% upfront mortgage insurance premium when you buy an FHA house? So what that is when you buy FHA, you pay 1.75% of the loan amount as a fee to FHA to fund FHA. And then monthly you take 0.55% of the loan amount as your monthly mortgage insurance. Right now, you can never get rid of that monthly mortgage insurance. Even if you put 20% down, you're still going to have it, and it's there for the life of the loan. They're overfunded by a factor of 12 times right now. And they're probably gonna, from what we're hearing from the Mortgage Bankers Association of America, is FHA is thinking about lowering matching conforming when it gets to 78%, that monthly amount will go away. Now that 1.75% is probably never going to go away. That's what they use to fund FHA with to run their operations. However, if you do an FHA loan and let's say you sell or refinance like in 18 months, they take that 1.75% and stretch it out over 3 years. And if you refinance in 18 months, you're going to get half of that 1.75% back, or it's prorated depending on up to 36 months. But they're talking about getting rid of the life of the loan mortgage insurance. If you put 10% down, it'll go away after I believe 20 years. Most people aren't in these homes that long or in these loans that long, especially at the rates we're going to be selling these at right now. I'm confident most of these people will refinance at some point in the future. But the other avenue, like I said, is to if you're going to be, you have a buyer, and especially right now as a buyer's market, I would go in and say, listen, I'll give you the full price. And hey, honey, we're going to give them full price, but we're going to save $800 a month off our payment. To me, that's just a much better way of doing it. And also, especially if someone's going from, their starter home to their second home, and that payment is kind of a bigger jump, it'll slowly get them used to making that payment over time. So yeah, as I said before, if the buy down is over, then they'll get that money back. This is a great way to do in your listings. You can even, I've had an agent that put this document in the MLS, and she's gotten some play on it. Same thing with if you're working with buyers, you can do this as well. You can bring that as an offer to the listing agent. And then this is also good for investors, especially ones that are trying to stretch and, all that kind of stuff. We can do these on investment loans as well. Do you have any, and I know that was a little bit quicker than what I thought, but are there any questions that anybody has?
Could they do a combination of closing cost contribution and a buy down?
Yes, they can even do, you could even do, depending on how much money, the buy down is not considered closing cost. So you could have like for example, you could have the seller buy the rate down by 1 point and then do a buy down and cover some closing costs if there's enough money laying around. They could do all three.
Thank you.
And you can do this on VA as well. Stacy, you have any questions? Esperanza, Andrea? All right.
Totally understood. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. So that's it. And let me ask you just a question about the format of this. I like the fact that y'all each just gave me 21 minutes of your time. It's quick. You know something now that you may not have known before. I'm going to start doing this weekly, but I may push it to every other week. The one I'm going to do next week is on bridge loans, our no payment bridge loan. It's a really, really good tool right now, so that your customers don't have to go in and offer contingency contracts. Also, as a listing agent, if you have someone that's bringing a contingency contract, tell them to call me. I got a no payment bridge loan, but I'll go over all that. In the meantime, I'll send you a sample of these documents. And if you have a listing or you have, a property that one of your buyers is looking at, let me know and I can run the numbers for them. This is a great way to, when you're going into a listing appointment, this is a great way to say, hey, this is an idea as well. Maybe not for when you go out of the gate, but if it doesn't sell right out of the gate, then this is an option rather than just playing the lower than the price game. But thank you once again, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you next week.